Shalom, 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 Israel. All praises. Uh, put sevens in the chat if you can hear me. Put sevens in the chat if you can hear me. Shalom, brother Shire. Excuse me. My brother Victor, shalom, King. Princess Erica, shalom. Reptibles back in the building again. All praises for another one. Sister, I believe that's Eli or Eli. Shalom, sis. All praises. We back at it. We back at it. Another beautiful Sabbath. Another beautiful Sabbath. We're gonna take some questions too. So if anybody has any questions, feel free. Feel free to ask your questions. We're gonna take a couple questions before we get started. Going into some more Paul. All right. All right. Shalom, Hebrew daughter. Hey, Aki, can you give me some tissue? What tissue. Praises, praises. Shalom, family. We'll give it a couple seconds. I'm getting over something, man. Oh, yeah. Esau, he spraying something in the air, man. Sister Kim, Shalom, family. All praises. Yeah, that's cool right there. Yep. The water. Appreciate you. Anybody got any questions? If you got any questions, please feel free. If you got any questions, please feel free to ask your questions in the comment section. If you got any smoke, feel free to come up. If you got any smoke, we not shy of smoke. You know what I mean? Not shy of smoke. But if you have any questions, please ask your questions. We do definitely want to take some questions. I know every time I go live, there's individuals that have some questions, so we want to make sure we get some questions. And please, 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 we got 19 people in the building. All praises. Can you please like the video? Please like the video, subscribe, share the video, share the content. This is how we are able to get the work out. So please, that helps us get our message across. If you support us, please, just like the video. Con, all praises. So I don't see any questions right now. I don't see any questions right now. My family. Khan, Hebrew daughter says I'm not Princess Erica, pneumonia. Dang, all praises that you find. All right. All praises that you find. That pneumonia is no joke. Pneumonia is no joke. So all praises that you and your family are fine. Khan, Hebrew daughter, all praises that you are in good health and good spirit. Everything is a lie. Was just searching your videos and you live. Shalom, Shalom, King. Shalom, everything you need to know is a lie. All praises. Judah King. We're under the weather here in Dallas too. No joke. All praises. Khan. Yeah, everybody. You know how it is. Esau doing certain times and certain seasons. Right. Everybody start getting that little bug, man.
The flu season.
Yeah, all the seasons.
Start advertising his shots and stuff.
Khan. Okay, Victor, we got a question in the house. This is a good one right here. What up with mixed fabric? Khan, that's a good one. That's a real good one. I'm gonna go ahead and pull that one up and before I pull that up, man. Where's that at? That is in Leviticus. Yeah, Leviticus 19:19. Mm-hmm. Hold that. But I wanna get something too before we get that. Get this. Get 1 Corinthians 13 and 9. Let's read that real quick. I want to make sure that we hammer this in. I want to make sure that we hammer this in. All right. If anybody professes themselves to know everything, you don't. All right. We don't know everything. We're constantly learning. Um, you're not going to know everything, right? Every day is a constant learning situation, right? From the greatest to the least of us. Let's get that in. Go ahead, pull that.
The book of 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 9.
Uh-huh.
For we know in part and we prophesy in part.
For we know in part and we prophesy in part. There's some things in the scriptures that I am not too proud and too heavy-minded to say that, I have to meditate sometimes on certain things, and there's been an evolution in understanding, when it comes to certain things in the scriptures. So, mixed fabric for a good example, a great example, and I've had conversations with my elders about this, and I've had conversations with my partners today in this thing. Shout out to brother Iram. That's my brother, my partner in crime, and we've had many conversations about certain things in the scriptures, right? But I just wanted to make sure everyone understands that we know in part and we prophesy in part. I do not profess myself to know everything, right? And the things that I don't know, I definitely will say that I'll get back to you. Now, in the case of mixed fabric, let's go to Leviticus 19 and 19. I'm going to tell you guys 2 ways of how you can look at this verse. All right. 2 ways of how you can look at this verse based off of the conversations that I didn't have with my elders and conversations that I didn't have with my partner in crime. Let's read that. Leviticus 19:19.
The book of Leviticus chapter 19, verse 19.
Read.
You shall keep my statutes. Thou shalt not let thy cattle gender with the diverse kind.
So that's very, very self-explanatory. Scripture says that animals should not gender that are of different kind, right? Read.
Thou shalt not sow thy field with mingled seed.
It says, thou shalt not sow thy field with mingled seed. Okay. So, all the stuff that Esau does now, you're not supposed to mingle, corn with an apple seed and mix another seed. You're not supposed to infuse certain seeds and foods like that, right? In terms of vegetation. But now peep this, read.
Neither shall a garment mingled of linen and woolen come upon thee.
Okay, so now this is the one, because now this is, where we get to where it's like, okay, everything has to be 100%. It only could be 100% cotton, or only could be 100% wool, or only could be 100% linen, and you cannot mix the fabrics together, right? Well, that's the popular way to look at this verse in this chapter, right? Which I, for a long time, that's how I looked at it too. You know what I mean? But then as you read it, it gives a distinction. When you read that in verse 19, it gives a distinction, and I just have to be honest, of wool and of linen. Now, wool and linen are 2 different materials. If you are familiar with materials, do you understand that wool is animal-based and linen is plant-based? Okay. And it gave that distinction. It says as wool and as of linen. Okay. So some brothers say, well, hold on. Wool and linen, those are 2 different fabrics. And it gave an example of that. Linen being plant-based, wool being animal-based. What else would be an animal-based? Like leather. Leather being animal-based because it comes from cowhide, right? And what's another? What cotton? Cotton being plant-based because it comes from the cotton. Polyester plant-based, right? So those are certain examples. So when you can look at that and you can say, okay, how do we rationalize with both of those understandings? What I would say at this very moment in terms of this particular scripture, I'm not going to give a solid yes or no on any viewpoint of how to look at it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have another follow-up conversation with my elders and my partner in crime, and we're going to come together and see how we should look at this, because to be honest, with my family and with everybody online, I can see both understandings. I can see somebody saying, nah, we just going to keep it 100%. I can see that. I mean, I won't deny you for doing that. But then I also can see somebody saying, well, it gives an example of wool and linen. So what it's saying is, if as long as it's plant based, it's fine. It doesn't matter. It's plant based. As long as it's animal based, it's fine. I could see that way as well. I want to do a follow up study on this particular verse. You know what I mean? I'm gonna do a follow up study on this particular verse, and then I'll get back to you guys on that with our definite answer as soon as we get a definite answer. But I can clearly see both understandings. You know what I mean? And that's where I stand on that right now. That's just where I stand on that right now. Let's see. Somebody asked a question. Okay, what moon do you follow? That's a great question. What moon we follow? The 100% dark moon. 100% dark moon. That's what we follow. I want to get something real quick. Go to you know what I want? Let me pull this up real quick.
In Psalms, are you
I want the one in the Apocrypha.
the rock?
Yeah, Sirach. The moon with the full.
God.
All right, let me get a couple easy scriptures.
That's Rock 43.
Yeah, read that.
The book of Ecclesiasticus and your Apocrypha, chapter
Uh-huh.
43, verse 6.
Uh-huh.
He made the moon also to serve in her season
Uh-huh.
for a declaration of times
Read.
and a sign of the world.
Uh-huh.
From the moon is a sign of feast,
Uh-huh.
a light that decreaseth in
No.
her.
Not that one. I don't want that one yet. Field as the moon in the full. That's let me see. What was that at? That was Sirach. What did you just pull?
43.
Hold on, let me see. I want not that one.
Okay.
Hold on 1 second. So this is why we don't follow a light moon, right? Or a full moon, I was to say. Hold on 1 second, family. Ecclesiasticus 39 and 12. Get that one for me. Sirach chapter 39, verse 12.
Okay.
Yeah, read that for me.
The book of Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus, chapter 39, verse 12.
Read.
Yet have I more to say, which I have thought upon.
Read.
For I am filled as the moon at the full.
You see that? So here we see a full moon here. It says, I am filled as the moon at the full. If the full moon is the new moon, why wouldn't it say, I am filled as the moon in the new? Right? So we see a full moon here, separate from new moon. It does not represent, because that's a phase. All right. New moon and full moon are a phase, right? So full moon is referenced here as a separate phase. Okay, we see that. It's very cut and clear. It's very cut and clear as the moon at the full, right? So full moon and new moon are different phases. And I normally don't go outside of the King James, but I have a verse, right? Which is let's go to it, and I want to get a different translation. I probably got to go into my blue letter. This is where is that at? I want Sirach chapter 43, verse 7. All right. I want it in the yeah. Watch this. Wanted to see if I could get it in the contemporary. Let's see. Read that in which in Sirach 43 and 7. Read the version.
God,
King James.
The book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 43, verse 7. From the moon is a sign of feast, a light that decreaseth in her perfection. The month is called after her name, increasing wonderfully in her changing, being an instrument of the armies above, shining in the firmament of heaven.
Now, when you get that in the I'm gonna pull it up. I'm trying to pull it up in the contemporary. See, contemporary English. I thought this was pretty. Let me see if I could pull it up. That's 43 and 9. I told you to get.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. Oh, actually, let me see. Let's see. I think it's. Let me see.
I know there's the one for
Contemporary.
the Psalms 81 in the contemporary English version. That one's a good
Yeah.
one too.
Read that one.
The book of Psalms chapter 81 in the CEV version, verse 3. It says, "Sound the trumpets and start the new moon festival. We must also celebrate when the moon is full." And as you continue reading, you see that it's talking about an appointed feast, which was Passover.
Yeah, I got it right here. I just found it. So look what it says in the contemporary one right here. It says Sirach 43 and 7, contemporary English versions, and the setting, the times for sacred festivals, when its light has become dark, a new month begins. You see that? It says, when its light has become dark, a new month begins. That is in the contemporary English version of Sirach 43 and 7. Right. So normally I stay within the King James. I still do. But sometimes, just to get more understanding, you could go to different versions. In the contemporary English versions, it literally says, and setting the times for sacred festivals, when its light has become dark, a new moon begins. You see what I'm saying? So that's the contemporary English, right? We also have in Sirach where it literally says, that the moon at the full, right? So we see a full moon, right? And let's go to and just even having a common understanding of, let's go to the beginning, right? Go to Genesis. Just having a common understanding of creation. And there's a new moon video that we did, and we went into great detail. We went into great detail. I'm gonna put it in the chat so you guys can check it out. Let's see. Go to read verse 1, chapter 1, Genesis chapter 1, and read verse. Let's start at verse 13. Read 13.
The book of Genesis chapter 1 verse 13. And the evening and the morning were the third day.
Evening and morning, dark and light. Then so the beginning was what? Dark. And then later was what? Light. Read Genesis 1 and 1.
The book of Genesis chapter 1 verse 1. In the beginning God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep.
So some things are not as clear cut, but you can see the wisdom of the Most High in his creation. Well, look, I see that darkness was first and then light all throughout creation. I see darkness was first. He moved upon it. Then light came. I see evening was first, then the morning, then it was the next day. Evening came, then the morning, then it was the next day. I see evening first, then I see daylight, then it was the next day. So when I look at creation, I can clearly see the things that the Most High is actually talking about and showing, and how times change within his creation. So it's not far-fetched for me to see that darkness actually comes first. But I'm gonna go to the BOW channel real quick, and I'm gonna share my screen. And if you want more detail, we actually did. The elder actually went into it a while back, which was a great lesson. I recommend that everybody go. Let me share my screen. Okay. I recommend everybody go to get a great, because that's a deep, in-depth lesson, which the elder did a great job on. So let's go down. It was a while back. Here it is right here. So go to our channel, go to our lives, go to our channel, go to live, and then you can go down and scroll down until you get like a year ago, When is the real new moon? Full, crescent, or dark? All right. Here it is right here. All right. When is the real new moon? Full, crescent, or dark? So go and check this out. It's a 3-hour class. Go check that class out. I guarantee it'll answer most of your questions. All right, dealing with the moon. But yeah. All right. So now let's go from there. All right. So let's go back up. Shalom, fam. Question: Would would suicide be a sin? Um, me personally, I haven't read any scriptures that suicide is a sin, but I definitely wouldn't say that killing yourself is something that the Most High wants you to do. Let me get this real quick. So if something is telling you to kill yourself, and that's not of the Most High, get Wisdom of Solomon chapter 1 and 12.
The book of Wisdom of Solomon, your Apocrypha, chapter 1, verse 12. Seek not death in the error of your life.
See, the scripture says, seek not death. Right? We understand what this is saying. Seek not death in the area of life, meaning sin and things of that nature. But the point is, the Most High don't want you to die. Like, yeah, we have to die because of our sins and the error of our ways and what happened with Adam. But you taking your own life, scripture says, seek not death. Any type of voice that's telling you to kill yourself, this is for anybody out there. Any type of voice that's telling you to kill yourself, that's not the spirit of the Most High God. That is not the spirit of the Most High God. The Most High God would not want you to kill yourself. All right, keep reading that.
It says, seek not death in the error of your life, and pull not upon yourself destruction with the works of your hands.
You see that? It says, pull not upon yourself destruction with the work of your hands. Meaning killing yourself, right? And going out there and living in a sinful life, because that can also cause death upon you. You know what I mean? So the Most High God is not trying to kill you and doesn't want you to be killed. He doesn't want you to kill yourself. That is not the spirit of the Most High. So can I point to you a scripture? I can. If anybody can, they can put it in the chat in the law. But what I can show you is that the Lord does not recommend death upon you. Was that all of that?
God.
Get Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11. Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 29, verse 11. For I know the thoughts that I think towards you, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end.
You see that? The Most High God says, I know the thoughts that I think towards you, right? Thoughts of what?
Of Salakia. For I know the thoughts that I think towards you, said the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end.
You see that? Thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end. So the Lord doesn't want you out there trying to kill yourself, okay? So if you got any of those type of thoughts, get out of those thoughts now. All right. The Lord is not trying to do away with you like that. That's not the spirit of the Most High God. All right. Another question is somebody asks, do you believe the Moabites are Chinese? I think they were Moors. I don't believe every black person is an Israelite. I definitely don't think every black person is an Israelite. In terms of the Moabites, that is a heavy debated topic. Definitely I definitely want to go more into that. I definitely do have an understanding that the Moabites are of the Asian persuasion or the Asian race. There are some documents and some books out there that the elders actually do have, and some information that the elders do have on the Moabites. But that's something that I could actually get back to you with. But I definitely agree with you on every black person not being an Israelite. I definitely do believe in that. I agree with that. Every black person is not an Israelite. You got Africans who are not Israelites, Hamitic nations that are not Israelites. You got chocolate Edomites, that are not Israelites. So I definitely agree with you on that one. All right. Let's see if there's any more before we get into the Any more questions? I think this is more of a statement, not a question. Let me see. Of Esau, or actually, you know who? I don't know what he's trying to say there. Let's see. Any other questions? Let me see. Still don't get how UFOs are chariots. Okay, that's a good question. Let me go back up though. Let's see. This person said, even heathens follow the dietary law. You sin when you know, not think not highly of yourself. I don't know what that means. I think this is a question right here. All right. I still don't get how UFOs are chariots. Khan, go to Ezekiel real quick. The reason why we say chariot is because it's it's not like, I don't want you to think literally like a chariot and it's a horse, you know what I mean? And you hitting the horse and the angel is riding the horse in the chariot. It's just a vessel that is used for flight. All right. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 1 and let's read verse 4. Let's get this real quick.
The book of Ezekiel chapter 1 verse 4.
Read.
And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north,
Read.
a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself.
So the scripture says that when Ezekiel looked, he said, look, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself. And a brightness was about it. So this looked like a cloud of fire, and it was enfolding itself, and it was a brightness about it, right? This is what Ezekiel is seeing. Read.
And a brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof, as the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire. Also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures. And there was their appearance, they had the likeness of a man.
Read.
And everyone had 4 faces, and everyone had 4 wings. And
so now when you see this, go down to verse 13. Read that.
Verse 13. As for the likeness of the living creatures, their appearance was like burning coals of fire, and like the appearance of lamps, and went up and down among the living creatures. And the fire was bright.
There was like a fire. Now, if you look at any of these UFO videos, and you could just go on YouTube and type it in, it literally looks like a ball of fire. All of these UFO videos where they're now seeing, let me see if I can find one real quick. This one. And the Most High said that we would start to see signs in the heavens. Look at this one. I'm going to share my screen real quick. Look at this one. So it was like a fire enfolding itself. All right. Remember that. Look at this. This was 12 years ago. I remember when this one happened. This was 12 years ago. Let me make sure I share my audio. This was like 12 years ago. Entire screen. Share audio. Boom. Okay. There we go. All right. Let's check this out. This was 12 years ago. Captured. All right.
I chose Wix for my business because of its massive
What's up, real quick?
scope for functionality and freedom of creation. Being able to integrate.
All right. So this was 12 years ago. And since then, there's been many sightings of literally balls of fire flying in the air, right? And the scripture says that we'll see signs in the heavens during the last days. All right. The scriptures say that. So let's go ahead and let's look at some of these captured UFOs that's been sighted all over the world that now they can't even hide it no more. You know, I mean, they try to say some of them is rockets and stuff, but they can't hide it no more. Some of them they can't explain. And you could just type in UFOs sightings in 2024, 2023, and you'll see they all look the same. What's this?
A UFO hovers over one of the holiest sites in Islam, the Dome of the Rock on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, the spot where the Prophet Muhammad ascended to heaven, built on top of a site sacred to Judaism. An American woman takes it all in her stride, seen it all before.
We've seen them in Mississippi like this, but never like
See that bright fire right there? See it? Watch what it does though. Now this was captured on like 4 different cameras.
Easily dismissed as a
Look,
hoax.
here's another
until you see
camera.
This, the same event, or so it seems, filmed from a different angle by someone else. The glowing
Far.
ball of light dropping until it hangs just over the dome of the rock. These spectators a little more impressed.
Whoa!
3 different cameras caught it. How
The
you
ball
explain
suddenly
that?
shooting off as if disturbed. If it's a hoax, it's very well done. We are not alone. Or are we?
See that? But look, that was 12 years ago. You could type in, I ain't seen the footage in 2024.
Yeah, they actually there was one
Let's see.
2024 in
Oh,
January
shit,
that
my
just
bad.
happened.
Oh yeah.
And then the U.S. defense system in 2023 released all the documents of confirmed sites as well. As you saw, like, man, I can't even explain what this is.
Yeah, that was in 2024.
There is one in 2024 that was in January that happened. I don't know if it's gonna pop up.
This one was in 2022. I like to go to the older ones too.
I care about what
Look
touches
at
my
this,
family's skin. It's why I
This one was in. Let's see if we can see if this was a good one. See it? I don't know if y'all can see it. I don't know. This one's pretty bad. I always go to that one over Jerusalem because that's one that I know I could pull up. But look, I'll do you one even better. I think I got the video footage of when we seen one ourselves. Let me see. We seen one too. Remember that year? Was you there at the school that year? Let me see. I went to my Facebook. Let me see. I think it was years ago. Let me see my videos. I think it was, I posted it up on my, let me see. I think I did post it. Let's see. Some years ago. Here it is right here. This was years ago. This was years ago outside of our old school. All right. Look at this. We was there. I was there. This was outside of our old school. Look at this. All right. I'm gonna start it over now. Y'all see it? See, 2 of them appeared. That's the elder. Y'all hear the elder on? 2 of them right there. Now this is what we seen with our own eyes. This is the same thing that was over the dome of the rock. You see that? 2 chariots right here. Like literally, I remember it was all of us outside. It was after the Sabbath, and we all just went outside and you know, there was right there hovering. You know, that's one that we seen with our own eyes. This one, here's another one. Remember this one? This was in Israel when they were shooting at it. See it right there, the light? Or was they was in Palestine, I think. Can't even hit it. Yeah, that was in Palestine. So now my thing is, we caught this on camera with our own eyes. You know what I mean? And we caught that was like in 2014. And then we got multiple sightings. We got in Palestine. I remember when that footage first came out, when they were shooting at it. And yeah, so when you read that, it's the same description. Read it again in verse 4. Excuse me, Ezekiel verse 4.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 1, verse 4. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire enfolding
Doesn't
itself.
it look like a fire? Doesn't it
God.
look like a ball of fire? You see what I'm saying? And like I said, this is something that we seen with our own eyes. All right, we seen with our own eyes. The footage that with the 2 of them, that was footage captured with the camera of my elder outside after a Sabbath day. You know what I mean? So, the scriptures say that, and the scriptures say that we will see signs, towards the end, we will see signs in the heavens. So, I hope that gives you a better, more understanding of when we say chariot. All right. It's angelic beings of the Most High that we are starting to see more and more and more. Let's go down. Let's see. Here's a question right here. Okay. Wait, hold on. Let me see. On suicide, we are not God. Same as abortion. Yes, absolutely. Same as abortion. I will agree with you on that. We do not have the right to take life, just like we don't have the power to give life. I agree. I agree with that. Unless it's something that someone did is atrocious. Do you believe the Gentiles grafted in are the nations or Israelites? I believe that the Gentiles grafted in are 100% emphatically Israelites. Let's go there real quick. That's Romans. The grafting in. Romans 11.
God.
All right. Is it 11? Let me see.
Yes, 11.
Yeah. And read verse let me see.
The branches being broken.
Yeah.
17.
Yeah, is it verse 17? Let me see. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I'm in Corinthians. I'm tripping. Romans 11. Yeah, start at verse yeah, start at verse 13. Yeah,
God.
read that.
The book of Romans, chapter 11, verse 13.
Read.
For I speak to you, Gentiles, inasmuch as I am the apostle of the Gentiles, I magnify mine office. If by any means I may provoke to emulation them which are my flesh, I might save some of them. Or if the casting away of them be the reconciling of the world, what shall the receiving of them be? But the life from the dead.
You see that? So it says, for I speak to you, and actually this is a great way to segue into Paul, because a lot of people misquote Paul. They don't understand what Paul is talking about. So it says, for I speak to you Gentiles, in as much as I am the apostle of the Gentiles, I magnify my office. If by any means I provoke to emulation them which are my flesh, and might have saved some of them. Remember, the nation of Israel, the northern and the southern kingdom, was split. There was a split, and there was beef between the two kingdoms, right? All the way up into this time, right? But remember, prophecy says that Israel will have to be drafted back in. We're going to get an understanding of that, right? But here, Paul is he's talking to the Gentile audience, and he's also talking about the audience that grew up in Jewry, right? And we're going to get an understanding because of the scripture that Paul actually referenced. Okay, so let's read that. We left off.
Verse 16. For the first fruit be holy, the lump is also holy.
See, that's important because it says if the first fruit be holy, the lump is also holy. Remember, he said that he would come to the house of Judah first. Remember, let's go to real quick. Hold that. Let's go to hold that, and I want to just show that. Go to Zechariah 7 and 12 and 7. Zechariah chapters 12, verse 7.
But Zechariah chapter 12, verse 7. The Lord also shall save the tents of Judah first, that the glory of the house of David and the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem do not magnify themselves against Judah.
You see that? So when it says, for if the first fruit be holy, the lump is also holy. But remember, even though Judah is being saved first, doesn't mean that the northern kingdom is not holy as well, right? They are also holy because they're a part of that same lump. They're a part of that same branch. They're not different branches, which Paul's going to get into a beautiful illustration of that. Go to Isaiah 11 and 13 real quick.
Of Isaiah chapter 11, verse 13. The envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off.
You see that? Read that one more time.
The envy also of Ephraim shall depart.
You see that? The envy of Ephraim shall depart. Meaning the battles that we were going against each other. Ephraim envying Judah because Judah constantly did put him in oppression, and which ultimately caused the split because Judah was the tribe of kings, right? But there was a split and a battle between the northern kingdom of Israel and the southern kingdom of Israel. This is all documented within history and the scriptures. So it's not hard to understand when Paul's coming into Romans 11 what he's actually talking about with that grafting in. See, when you read this in American standards without understanding the history of what was going on with the nation of Israel, understanding that this book is for the nation of Israel, then you could just make this apply to whoever you want it to apply to. But when you understand the history and you understand the prophecy, then you can better assess, okay, that's talking about Israelites, because the northern and southern kingdom were split, right? And let's finish that off.
The envy also of Ephraim shall depart,
Uh-huh.
and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off.
You see that? It says the envy of Ephraim shall depart and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off, meaning we're not going to fight amongst each other anymore. Keep reading. Was that it?
Ephraim shall not envy Judah.
You see that? Ephraim shall not envy Judah. Read.
And Judah shall not vex Ephraim.
And Judah shall not vex Ephraim. All right. This is a prophecy, meaning that we were going to get back together. This is why when you go back to Romans 11, go back to Romans 11 and start at verse 13 again.
The book of Romans chapter 11.
Read verse 11. Sorry. Start at verse 11.
The book of Romans chapter 11 verse 11.
Uh-huh.
I say then, how they stumbled that they should fall.
Right. Talking about the southern kingdom of Israel. Read.
God forbid.
Read.
But rather through their fall,
Uh-huh.
salvation is coming to the Gentiles.
Read.
For to provoke them to jealousy.
Why? Because guess what? At this time, when Paul was going and getting the Israelites that were scattered amongst the Gentiles, go to James chapter 1, verse 1, because that's who they were teaching. They were teaching the Israelites that were scattered among the Gentiles, but grew up as Gentiles. The Jews was like, man, we not messing with them. We not messing with them. You know, they went off. You know, they're heathens to us, right? And it made them upset, right? Watch, read.
The book of James, chapter 1, verse 1. James, a servant of God and of the Lord Yahweh Shai, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting.
You see that? To the 12 tribes that are scattered abroad, greeting. How did the 12 tribes, the rest of the nations of Israel, begin to get scattered? It was prophecy. Go to Hosea 4 and 17. See, and so when the Pharisees are reading these prophecies and seeing what the northern kingdom did, which goes under the name of the house of Ephraim, they don't want nothing to do with them. I don't want nothing to do with them. I don't know. But remember, Christ came to save all Israel. We're going to get that in this Romans 11. Read that Hosea 4 and 17.
The book of Hosea, chapter 4, verse 17.
Read.
Ephraim is joined to idols. Let him alone. Their drink is sour.
You see that? Ephraim is joined to idols. Leave him alone. Leave him alone. We don't want nothing to do with Ephraim. Leave him alone. He's joined to idols. We don't want to see nothing with Ephraim. We don't want to deal nothing with Ephraim. He's heathen to us because he went with idols. You understand? So now coming back to Romans 11, you've been and remember this was all the way back in 500 BC. 500 BC. All right, this is like hundreds of years later. So imagine the house of the northern kingdom of Israel scattered among the nations for hundreds of years. That's like my brother having children. I'm having children for hundreds of years, but we separated. He all the way in China and I'm all the way in America. We ain't gonna know who each other kids are and none of that. Me and my brother might know each other, but our kids after 100 some years, we ain't gonna know. So they became heathens, right? So when you go back and see, you have to understand the prophecies and you have to understand the history to get this understanding. But when you just take a book, which is Paul's writings, which we're going to go into a little bit more of Paul's writings. When you take a book like Romans and just read the chapter, oh, see, that's talking about, you don't know the history. You don't know what's going on. You just take a book and just say this applies to that. No, get the context of what Paul's talking about. We're going to get it. It's going to be quite simple because Paul in Romans 11 is actually quoting prophecy. Now, let's go back to Romans 11 and read verse 17 now. Let's get to the point.
The book of Romans, chapter 11, verse 17. And if some of the branches be broken off, and thou being a wild olive tree, were grafted in among them.
See, that's talking about real heathens. The heathens are now grafted in. Is that talking about heathens or what is Paul talking about? This is why I always say I had an interview with a brother named Little Meech. All right. Little Meech. And and we were debating Romans 11. And I asked them a simple question. Christians can never answer questions. They will not. Getting a Christian to answer a question is like pulling teeth. So when I asked them this question, when we went to Romans 11, I said, well, where is Paul quoting this from? Because once we understand where Paul is quoting this from, then we'll understand who he's talking about. Right? And I think it's a fair assessment that we do that, because how could we not do that, right? So when Paul says in verse 17, and if some of the branches be broken off, well, we just read how Ephraim was broken off. Didn't we just read that Ephraim is joined to idols, leave him alone in Hosea? Didn't we just read that there was envy between Judah and Ephraim? Did we not just read that? We just read that, right? So yeah, they were definitely, we can see if we're making a case, right? If we're making a case, somebody's making a case for the Gentiles, and we're making a case for the Northern Kingdom using Romans 11. Well, okay, I think how we can solidify the case is going to the scriptures to see what scriptures apply to each prophecy. And I think that's how we do it, right? We can see that the Northern Kingdom was broken off. Didn't verse 17 say the branches were broken off? Yep. Watch this, read.
The book of Romans chapter 11 verse 17. And if some of the branches be broken off,
Read.
and thou being a wild olive tree,
Read.
were grafted in among them.
Now notice how it's dealing with olive trees. It's dealing with a wild olive tree, and it's dealing with a non-wild olive tree, right? Because you got to have one olive tree, and then a wild olive tree. Why? Because the Northern Kingdom went into idols. They became wild. They went into idols. But we're going to get it. We're going to prove it. Read.
And with them partakers of the root and the fatness of the olive tree. Boast not against the branches, but if thou boast, thou bearest not the root, but the root thee.
So what is Paul talking about? He's talking about branches being broken and olive trees and in connection with the Gentiles, right? But is this talking about actual Gentiles, or is this talking about Northern Kingdom scattered, right? That became Gentiles through their ideology and the way that they grew up. Well, let's get where Paul is quoting this from. Let's go to Ezekiel 37. This is where Paul is quoting this from. And let's get the prophecy that Paul's quoting, and we can see who's talking about. And 37 and start at verse 18.
18. Okay.
Yeah.
The book of Ezekiel chapter 37 verse 18.
Read verse 19.
Verse 19. Say unto them.
Actually, you can read 18. Go ahead. Read
verse 18. And when the children of thy people shall speak unto thee, saying, wilt thou not show us what thou meanest by these?
Read.
Say unto them, thus saith the Lord God, behold, I will take the stick of Joseph.
The stick of Joseph, right? The stick of Joseph, which is a branch, right? Joseph being the Northern Kingdom of Israel. Read.
Which is in the hand of Ephraim.
Which is in the hand of Ephraim, which is the head of the Northern Kingdom, the head tribe of the Northern Kingdom. Read.
And the tribes of Israel, his fellows.
And the tribes of Israel, because Israel is also recognized as the Northern Kingdom, the house of Israel and the house of Judah. Read.
And will put them with him, even with the stick of Judah, and make them one stick, and they shall be one in mine hand.
Is that a grafting in? Is that a grafting in? Yeah, that's a grafting in. I'm going to take the stick of Ephraim and the stick of Judah and put them one in his hand. That's a grafting in. If you know anything about husbandry, if you get an olive tree or any type of tree, you cannot tie a tree to another branch that is not of that same tree and it grows. Right? That's husbandry. So if I got a tree and it breaks, I could go take a branch off another tree, tie it up, wrap a wire around the tree, and then it'll start to grow back as its natural self. That also lets you know that it couldn't be ethnic Gentiles. It would have to be someone that's of our stock. But here we clearly see one stick of Judah and one stick of Ephraim, grafting them in together. Can we see any of that prophetically with the heathens? I mean, I think that's a fair question. If I could show you the Northern Kingdom being grafted in with prophecy, where Paul is directly quoting the grafting in, but let's not stop there. Let's go, because somebody could, let's go to Zechariah 4. Zechariah 4 and 11. All right, let's get another prophecy dealing with the olive trees, olive branch. And let's see what those olive branches are.
On the book of Zechariah, chapter 4, verse 11.
Uh-huh.
Then answered I and said unto him, what are these two olive trees?
What are these two olive trees? What are these two olive trees? Read.
Upon the right side of the candlestick and upon the left side thereof.
You see that? These two olive trees, what are they? Read.
And I answered again and said unto him, what be these two olive branches which through the two golden pipes empty the golden oil out of themselves?
Read.
And he answered me and said, knowest thou not what these be? And I say, no, my Lord. Then say he, these are the two anointed ones that stand by the Lord of the whole earth.
See, the two anointed ones that stand by the Lord in the whole earth. The two anointed ones is the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom of Israel. All right. Two olive trees. All right. So when you read that, that's what it's going into. Go back to Romans 11. Go back to Romans 11 and let's read it again now.
The book of Romans, chapter 11, verse 17. And if some of the branches be broken off, and thou being a wild olive tree, were grafted in among them, and with them partakest of the root and fatness of the olive tree.
See that? So the grafting in, we can see that process happening with the Israelites. The olive trees being referenced as the two anointed. Why the two anointed? Because the northern and southern kingdom of Israel, right? It's Israel. It will be a fair assessment for you to show me in prophecy the heathens ever being referenced as the olive branches are sticks grafted in. You would not be able to show me that within the scriptures. So that's what it's going into when it's talking about the grafting in. All right. Susanna said first time seeing footage. Oh, I'm assuming she's talking about the chariots. Khan. Is there scripture showing that Christ is coming back in a chariot? He's coming back with the heavenly hosts, which are referenced as chariots. Let me get that real quick. Let's see. Go to let's go to Salakia. Man. Oh, sorry about that. Let me go ahead and get that down. Hold on 1 second. What's that one scripture? Let me see. Let's see, what verse is that? Let me see. Yeah, go to Isaiah 40 and 26. And read 40 and 26 when you got it.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 40, verse 26. Lift up your eyes on high, and behold, who have created these things, that bringeth out their hosts by number. He calleth them all by names, by the greatness of his might. For that he is strong in power, not one faileth.
You see that? So it's talking about his heavenly angels. All right. And get the book of Naaman. Let's see. Naaman chapter 2, verse 3. Actually, Isaiah 66 and 15. I'm sorry. Yeah. Read that one.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 66, verse 15.
Read.
For behold, the Lord will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury,
Read.
and his rebuke with flames of fire.
You see that? So the Lord will come with his chariots like a whirlwind to render his anger with fury and a rebuke with flames of fire. See that? Read verse 16.
For by fire and by his sword
Uh-huh.
will the Lord plead with all flesh,
Uh-huh.
and the slain of the Lord shall be many.
You see that? It says, for the slain will be many. So the Lord is coming back with his chariots of fire. All right. And what we know that is those are angelic hosts, those are angelic beings. I'll skip this. Let me go back and see what his question was. Oh, it is perfect. Let me go. What did it say? How far is it? Oh, I see it right here. All right, Shalom. Shalakia for skipping your question. Shalom. Do you believe Paul and James went off in their writings at any point? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't believe they went off at any time in their writings. I don't believe Paul or James did. Okay, and we're gonna go into that. All right, I'm just answering a couple little questions before we get into the actual thing I wanted to get into tonight, which shouldn't take all that long. But let me see. Let me go down. Okay, somebody asks, brothers, what happened to Paul once he got shipped to Rome by King Agrippa? Let's go to that account real quick. Let's go to Acts 26 and 1. Go ahead and read that.
The book of Acts, chapter 26, verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
Then Agrippa said unto Paul, thou art permitted to speak for thyself. Then Paul stretched forth the hand and answered for himself. I think myself happy, King Agrippa, because I shall answer for myself this day before thee, touching all the things wherein I am accused of the Jews.
Right, because they were trying to do what? They were trying to speak an evil name against him, all right, so that they can kill him. So he was pleading his cause, all right. Let's go to go down to verse 27.
Verse 27.
And read verse 1.
King Agrippa, believest thou the prophets? I know that thou believest.
Actually, go to chapter 27. I just want to get to the point of Paul.
Verse 1.
Yeah.
Okay. The book of Acts, chapter 27, verse 1. And when it was determined that we should sail into Italy, they delivered Paul and certain other prisoners unto one named Julius, a centurion of Augustus' band. And entering into a ship of Adramyttium, we launched, meaning to sail by the coast of Asia.
All right. So after he left Agrippa, they determined that they should sell him into Italy, deliver Paul and other prisoners into a man named Julius. All right. So that's what happened to Paul directly after King Agrippa. All right. He went into I think he went into Alexandria, shipped of Alexandria, selling into Italy, where you read verse 6. Okay. So that's what happened to him. All right. All right, let's go into the lesson now. I don't think there's any other questions. We can go ahead and go into the lesson now. All right, so let's go to 1 Corinthians 8 and 1 real quick. I want to talk about this food offered to idols. All right, Paul's writings again. You know, it's like a thing that happens when we kind of go round and around with different topics every year. And Paul has been a hot topic as of late. A lot of brothers been using Paul incorrectly. A lot of brothers been lying on Paul, you know, taking Paul's writings and lying on his writings, you know what I mean? And one of the ways that they've been lying is, you know, some brothers are even saying that Paul was a traitor. Paul was a traitor and Paul was evil. I don't believe any of those things. I don't believe Paul went off. And I definitely don't think Paul was a traitor or anything like that. But let's go to 1 Corinthians 8 and start at verse 1.
The book of 1 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 1. Now, as touching things offered unto idols, we know that we all have knowledge. Knowledge puffeth up.
Now, this is one of the texts that a lot of brothers stumble with. Okay, and I'm going to attempt to give the knowledge, wisdom, understanding. I believe that the scriptures are twofold. Go to Job. Go to the book of Job, chapter 42, verse 10. Read that when you got it. Job. No problem, King. No problem, King. All praises. Go to the book of Job, chapter 42 and 10.
The book of Job, chapter 42, verse 10.
Brother Victor said, once you really understand Paul, it ain't that hard to read it anymore. Absolutely. Once you really understand the basics and the foundation of Paul. Let's read that. Job 42 and 10. Read that.
Verse 10.
Uh-huh.
Are you looking for prophecy is double?
Yeah. Is that Job?
No, this one is where Job. I think it's a different.
Oh, let me see. Let me pull it up. Maybe that's I thought it was Job. Let me see. 42, 10, no. Let me see. Oh, no. Let me see. See this. Where's it? Damn other scripts, man. Oh, 11 and 6. Salakia. Get Job 11 and 6. And then read that.
The book of Job, chapter 11, verse 6.
Uh-huh.
And that he would show thee the secrets of wisdom, that they are double to that which is.
Right. So the secrets of wisdom are double to that which is. So I believe that the scriptures can work twofold. You can see something in the scriptures and it has a double fulfillment or dual meaning. And I don't believe that's only subjugated to one half of the Bible. I believe that's the whole entire text when you read it. So when you read the words of Paul, Paul's writings in certain parts of history don't really apply to Israel. You know, like what we're about to read here in 1 Corinthians chapter 8. That really wouldn't apply to Israel in a sense of when we were in our nation. Why? Because we wouldn't have to worry about idols. We wouldn't have to worry about idols in the nation, right? If Israel never left Israel and we never left the will of the Most High God, 1 Corinthians chapter 8 does not apply. Because guess what? No one's going to be having a conversation about idols because we're all up in the land, right? We're all in the land living righteously. But if you fast forward to the American times, 1 Corinthians chapter 8 makes a lot of sense. First Corinthians chapter 8 makes a lot of sense. And we're going to show it today. But brothers, with their lack of understanding, when they read 1 Corinthians chapter 8, they read it and they take it in a way and they don't understand it. Like, well, why is Paul saying we can eat things offered to idols? Let's actually get what Paul is really saying. And again, I touched this before, but I'm just revisiting it. I'm actually revisiting all of Paul's writings. But this is the one. Last week we touched on circumcision. This week we're touching on things offered to idols. So now read verse 1. Let's start off with this.
The book of 1 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 1.
Read.
Now, as touching things offered unto idols, we know that we all have knowledge. Knowledge puffeth up, but charity edifieth.
Right. So that's the first thing. We all have knowledge, right? Knowledge puffeth up, but charity edifieth, right? That's very important because a lot of people can be smart, but hey, we don't know what we ought know, right? We learn it every day. Like even myself today, I just said, hey, look, I don't know everything. We don't know everything, but we learn and we study to try to get an understanding. Let's read.
If any man think that he know of anything, he know of nothing. Yeah, as he ought to know.
You see that? That's just what we was going into. Read.
But if any man love God, the same is known of him. As concerning, therefore, the eating of those things that are offered in sacrifice unto idols,
read.
We know that an idol is nothing in the world, and that there is none other God but one.
That's the first thing we want to establish, that Paul is not giving you a pass to worship an idol. Paul literally just said that idols are nothing. They're nothing. They don't exist. Right? We can see that when you look at the history of the Baal and the dragon in the Apocrypha. Daniel proved that the idol was nothing when it fell on its face and couldn't get up. It's a dumb idol that doesn't breathe. It's not alive. So what Paul is saying is, look, idols are nothing. He's not once did he say bow down to one. Not once did he say, hey, we should serve one. He's saying idols are nothing. This is important. Read.
For though, verse 5, For though there be that are called gods,
Uh-huh.
whether in heaven or in earth, as there be gods many and lords many,
Read.
but to us there is but one God.
There's many false gods, but to us, there's only one God. This is what Paul is saying. Read.
The Father, of whom are all things, and we in him,
Uh-huh.
and one Lord Yahweh Shai,
Read.
by whom are all things, and we by him.
So Paul is totally discrediting idols here when you read his writings, and he's only giving credence to the Most High God and His Son Yahweh Shai. Read verse 7.
Howbeit, there is not in every man that knowledge.
But every man. So Paul is giving the understanding that, look, idols are nothing. They don't exist. If there was a statue of Rifram and I took a baseball bat and banged its face with the baseball bat, Rifram is not going to get up and do anything to me because it's not alive. It's a dumb idol, meaning it doesn't have any life in it. Paul understands that, but everybody doesn't understand that. Now, I could do that same thing to a person that does worship Rifram, and they could be upset because guess what? I believe that idol was something, right? So what Paul is saying is, look, everybody doesn't have the same knowledge, wisdom, and understanding we have that idols are nothing. They're not alive. They don't exist. Everybody doesn't have that same mindset. This is what he's talking about, right? Read. And it's a reason why. Don't worry. We're going to get the reason why he's going into this. Read.
Verse 7. Howbeit, there is not in every man that knowledge. For some with conscience of the idol unto this hour eat it as a thing offered unto an idol.
Read.
And their conscience being weak is defiled.
You see that? So you got some people, they make food for their idol and they worship their idol. And Paul's like, look, some people really worship the idol. We know that an idol was nothing. We know that an idol doesn't exist. But some people really, really, really worship the idol and think the idol was real. Just like when we go into that history of, let's get it real quick. Hold that. Go to Apocrypha. Bell and the Dragon. Let's go to Apocrypha. So this is all that, and the funny thing about it is we all knew that idols were nothing. All right. It's a small book. Salakia, my pages. Start at verse. Go ahead and start at verse 1 and 1. Chapter. Yeah.
From the book Bel and the Dragon from the Apocrypha, chapter 1, verse 1. And King Astyages was gathered to his fathers, and Cyrus of Persia received his kingdom. And Daniel conversed with the king and was honored above all his friends.
You see that? Daniel conversed with the king and was honored with the king's friends, right? Read.
Now the Babylonians had an idol called Bel, and there were spent upon him every day 12 great measures of fine flour.
You see that? So they had an idol named Bel, and they would put food before Bel, right? This is funny because this is actually going into what Paul's talking about. This particular history with Bel and the dragon. So they would put food for the idol. They thought that, hey, our idol needs to eat, right? This statue. Read.
And 40 sheep and 6 vessels of wine. And the king worshipped it and went daily to adore it. But Daniel worshiped his own God.
You see that? So the king would be who's Paul's talking about, the person that does not have the knowledge, wisdom, understanding that an idol was nothing, which the heathens don't. and Daniel will represent what Paul's talking about, as we know an idol is nothing but stupid and dumb. Right? Read.
And the king said unto him, why does not thou worship Bel? Who answered and said, because I may not worship idols made with hands, but the living God, who have created the heaven and the earth and have sovereignty over all flesh. Then said the king unto him, thinkest thou not that Bel is a living God?
See, the king was like, Bel's alive. Daniel like, man, that thing is not alive. Wait, you don't think Bel was alive? Watch this, read.
Seest thou not how much he eateth and drinketh every day? Then Daniel smiled.
You see that? He eating his food. This is how stupid the heathen are and people who worship idols. He eat his food. Every day we set food before him and he eat it. Read.
Then Daniel smiled and said,
just like my brother My brother Taz over there laughed.
Yeah.
Daniel chuckled too. Said, what are you talking about? Right, read.
Daniel smiled and said, O king, be not deceived, for this is but clay within and brass without, and did never eat or drink anything.
It's just clay and brass. It don't drink. This is just material. It don't eat or drink anything. Doesn't eat or drink anything. It's stupid. It's dumb, meaning it's not alive. Right? Read.
So the king was wroth and called for his priests and said unto them.
Now the king was mad because the king thinking, hold on, surely Baal is alive. So he called his priests. Read.
Right. And said unto them, if ye tell me not who this is that devoured these expenses, ye shall die. But if ye can certify me that Baal devoureth them, then Daniel shall die. For he have spoken blasphemy against Baal.
He said, look, one of y'all gonna die. Somebody gonna die. Either Daniel or you, or y'all priest. Somebody better prove to me that this thing is alive. All right. So then you're gonna see what they did. Read.
And Daniel said unto the king, let it be according to thy word. Now the priests of Baal were 70, beside their wives and children. And the king went with Daniel into the temple of Baal.
Read.
So Baal's priest said, lo, we go out. But thou, O king, set on the meat and make ready the wine and shut the door fast and seal it with thy own signet.
See, why they gotta seal why they can't watch the statue eat, but they sealing the door? Because what the priest was doing was they was going in there to steal the food and stuff like that. But the point is that it was stupid and it was dumb. And let's get to the point. Read verse 14.
Verse 14. So when they were going forth, the king set meats before Baal. Now Daniel had commanded his servants to bring ashes, and those they strewed throughout all the temple in the presence of the king alone. Then went they out and shut the door and sealed it with the king's signet, and so departed. Now in the night came the priests with their wives and children, as they were wont to do, and did eat and drink up all. In the morning betime the king arose, and Daniel with him. And the king said, Daniel, are the seals whole? And he said, yea, O king, they be whole. And as soon as he had opened the door, the king looked upon the table and cried with a loud voice, great art thou, O Baal, and with thee is no deceit at all. Then laughed Daniel and held the king that he should not go in, and said, behold, now the pavement, and mark well whose footsteps are these.
So Daniel put a trap. He put ashes so that the king could see the footsteps of the people that were sneaking in and eating with their families, letting you know that the idol was nothing. It's not alive. So the prophets understood that, right? Of course, the priest and their families got killed, and the idol got destroyed. So Paul understands that information. So now let's go back to 1 Corinthians 8. All right. And let's start off. Where did we leave off? We were at verse 7.
1 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 7.
Read.
Howbeit there is not in every man that knowledge. For some with conscience of the idol unto this hour eat it as a thing offering unto an idol, and their conscience being weak is defiled.
You see that? Because some people, they eat unto an idol. So that's like, I'm gonna give a great example. That's like Thanksgiving. I'm not gonna go and eat anything with my family on Thanksgiving because I know that they're doing it to a folly day. They're doing it for representation of America's wickedness. Is turkey bad for me to eat? Not at all. Is stuffing bad for me to eat? Not at all. Is cranberry sauce bad for me to eat? Not at all. But I will not eat on that day with them because I know that their conscience is weak and they're eating to celebrate that day. This is what Paul is laying out here. And it's a reason why he's laying this out. Because remember what I told you, scriptures is twofold. You see how this can apply for us today? See, this wouldn't apply. This wouldn't apply to them in Jerusalem because they ain't gonna be eating no idol. But Paul is writing, and the Most High is putting a spirit on Paul for us in 2024 to be able to understand how to move in a wicked society. This applies to us. This scripture helps us. It might not help the Pharisees. It might not help the people that grew up in Jewry, but it's going to help the ones that are scattered abroad that grew up in Gentile practices. What do you say to somebody that is an Israelite and now is trying to keep commandments, but their family is not, and they still eat towards idols? See, this applies for them, right? And he's going to give you more wisdom on that. So if everybody, so what Paul is saying is on the contrary in 1 Corinthians 8. He's saying he doesn't eat, even though he knows that the food is does not defile us because it's not unclean according to the law, but just for my conscience, the conscience of my people's sake, I won't eat if it's something that's given to an idol. Now, some people don't understand that. You know, they say things like, well, why is he even still saying that you can't eat nothing that's dedicated to an idol? But I'm gonna give you an example of why this fits us in today in just a second. Let's finish reading this. Read.
Come, 1 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 8. But meat commended us not to God. For neither if we eat are we the better.
Read.
Neither if we eat not are we the worse.
You see that? So if we eat or we don't eat, it's not, what he's saying is, look, the food, if it's under, of course, if it's not going in the criteria of the law, if I eat turkey and stuffing on Thanksgiving, am I sinning? No, because turkey, if I'm not eating it towards that day, no, because that day doesn't mean nothing to me. But for a conscious man that thinks that day means something, I will not eat it. But the food itself does not defile me because I know that an idol was nothing. It is a reason why he's saying this. We're going to get it in a minute. Read.
But take heed lest by any means this liberty of yours become a stumbling block to them that are weak.
You see that? So are you ever going to see me going to Christmas dinner? No. Why am I not going to go to Christmas dinner? Oh, baby, we've been doing this tradition for years because y'all are eating Christmas dinner. And I don't take part. No, well, baby, the food is not bad. Okay, the food don't have to be unclean, but I'm not going to take part in it because you're eating it for the conscience of your idol. This is what Paul was laying out here. So Paul never told anybody to worship an idol. You know, I hate when brothers make it seem like that's what Paul was saying. Paul is not telling nobody to worship an idol. Do you not know that worshiping idols? Get Wisdom of Solomon chapter 14, verse 27. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 14, verse 27. Gotta understand this.
On the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14, verse 27. For the worshiping of idols not to be named is the beginning, the cause, and the end of all evil.
Why the hell? So Paul's evil then, if he's telling you to worship an idol. But that's not what Paul's telling you to do. Paul's not telling you to do that. Paul is showing us through the Spirit of the Most High how we can navigate in today's society, being in a wicked world. This wisdom. Paul's writings are revolutionary. Why? Because it's fitting the bill for us today, right? And I'm gonna prove it to you in real quick. Now go back to 1 Corinthians 8 and finish where you left off.
1 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 9. But take heed lest by any means this liberty of yours become a stumbling block to them that are weak. For if any man see thee, which has knowledge, sit at meat in the idol's temple, shall not the conscience of him which is weak be emboldened to eat those things which are offered to idols? And through thy knowledge shall the weak brother perish for whom Christ died?
See, because we're supposed to be the representation of light. So me going to Christmas dinner just because, to hell with Christmas, but I'm going to still go see my family, that might make my family feel like what they're doing is okay. No, I will abstain from going to see my family on that day. I will not go see them and not go eat. They can say, we're not cooking no pork. We're going to cook all beef. We're going to cook chicken. I don't care. I'm not going because your conscience is weak and I'm not going to be a stumbling block unto you. Right? This is what Paul is talking about. Not nowhere in here did Paul ever say, go ahead and worship idols. He's literally just giving you wisdom on scenarios that we face in the 21st century. This is beautiful. Watch this. Read.
Verse 12. But when you sin so against the brethren and wound their weak conscience, you sin against Christ.
And he's even telling you it's a sin if you do it. He literally just told you it's a sin. He said, if you go, like, I'm going to still go eat it. Now you're sinning and you're sinning against Christ. Where in here did Paul tell you it's okay? Go eat the food with idols. No, he's giving you an understanding that an idol is nothing, but he's telling you not to eat it because of the weak conscience of your brother not having that same understanding. Now, that might not be a good enough answer for some people. Somebody might say, well, no, he should just plainly say because it's wrong, not because of the conscience of my brother. Well, let's get an understanding of why he said that. Let's get 1 Corinthians chapter 10. And let's start at verse 14. Let's get to the point.
1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 14.
Read.
Wherefore, my dearly beloved, flee from idolatry.
First of all, in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 14, where he's following up, he said, flee from idolatry. Does that look like he said, go worship idolatry? Go eat for an idol? No. He said, flee from idolatry. But watch what he says. Read.
I speak as to wise men.
Read.
Judge ye what I say.
The
cup of blessing which we bless is not the communion of the blood of Christ. The bread which we break, is it not the communion of the body of Christ?
So what he's saying is, look, we're supposed to eat things according to Christ. We're not supposed to eat things according to idols. We're supposed to eat things according to Christ. But there is a discrepancy. Read.
For we being many are one bread and one body. For we are all partakers of that one bread. Behold, Israel, after the flesh, are not they which eat of the sacrifices partakers of the altar?
You see that? So is this a question? He like, when you eat what's on the altar for idol or vice versa, aren't you a partaker of that? That's a question. Read verse 19.
What say I then? That the idol is anything?
We know that an idol is nothing. It ain't nothing. It ain't anything. Right? Read.
Or that which is offered in sacrifice to idols is anything?
It says, is it anything? No. We understand that. He just talked about that in 1 Corinthians chapter 8. Well, we understand that. We understand that an idol was nothing. We get it. Why? Because you have people going back and forth about certain things or how they should conduct themselves because of this reason. Read.
But I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to devils.
Read.
And not to God.
See that? So Paul's condemning that. Read.
And I would not that you should have fellowship with devils.
And that's what Paul is saying, that you should not have fellowship with devils. Read.
Ye cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of devils.
Read.
Ye cannot be partakers of the Lord's table and of the table of devils.
Read.
Do we provoke the Lord to jealousy? Are we stronger than he?
So Paul's condemning you from doing that. Read.
All things are lawful for me, but all things are not expedient. All things are lawful for me, but all things edify not. Let no man seek his own, but every man another's wealth.
You see that? So Paul is saying, look, just because we have an understanding that an idol was nothing and it's dumb and it's not alive, that doesn't mean that I should be partaker in the sin that the heathens partake in. This is exactly what Paul's saying. But watch this. Read.
Whatsoever is sold in the shambles.
Now this is important. It says, whatsoever is sold in the shambles. Read.
That's eat. Asking no question for conscience sake.
Why did he say that? That which is sold in the shambles, that eat, asking no question for conscience sake. Why did he say that? Watch this. Read.
Verse 26, for the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. If any of them that believe not bid you to a feast, and ye be disposed to go, whatsoever is set before you, eat, asking no question for conscience sake.
Why? Because the shambles, right? If you go back and do your research on the history of Corinth and those provinces in Rome, the temples of the Gentiles also sold food. So what they would do was they would offer the food in the temple, and they would take it to the shambles or the marketplaces. Another word for marketplace is shambles, and they would sell you the food. So what do you do if you're in a Gentile country and all around you the food is offered to idols? Do you eat not now? What do you do? What do you do? This is the wisdom of what Paul is saying. This is why he keeps saying the idol was nothing. So eat. If I have to eat, if I'm in America and everything, I'm gonna give you a prime example, right? Put sevens in the chat if you like to drink Starbucks. Put sevens in the chat if you like to drink Starbucks. Put sevens in the chat if you like to drink Starbucks. Or put sevens in the chat if you like to eat donuts. I said this many times before. Put sevens in the chat. Like to eat donuts. All right. All right, 7. Okay, we got some 7s. All right, me personally, I like drinking Starbucks. I go every morning. Some people might not drink Starbucks, but some people might eat donuts. Let me share my screen. Let me show y'all something. How many of you guys knew that the symbol on the Starbucks cup is asteroid? How many of y'all knew that the symbol on the Starbucks cup is an idol? How many of y'all knew that? Put 7s in the chat if you knew that. So now, guess what? You're eating to that idol? This is the idol. Or how many of you guys ever went into a donut shop and seen this fat man right here? Oh, well. How many of y'all ever went into a donut shop and seen this fat man right here? Guess what? You grab that candy. There's an idol right there standing over all that food. What do you do? And there's tons and tons and tons and tons of more examples of this. All right. I did this before. Let me ask you a question. Put sevens in the chat. And Sister Dessa, he be at the nail shops too. So yeah, you getting your nails done? Yep. Now let me ask you another question. How many of you guys like eating halal foods? Halal foods. How many? Put 7s in the chat if you know what halal food is. Put 7s in the chat if you know what halal food is. How many of you know what halal food is? All right. Go ahead and get this. All right. And I'm gonna share my screen real quick. Okay. How many of y'all know that halal food is consecrated in Islamic customs? All right. Meaning they will pray over it in Islamic law. All right. Halal food can be understood better known as the meaning of halal at the first stage according to the Food Agriculture Organizations, right? Means permissible and refers to things permitted in the religion. All right. So Muslims people are required to comply with these halal rules to be in good faith and health. So what they will have to do is they will have to pray over the food. All right. They will have to pray over the food. All right. This is going into some of the ingredients. But what halal means is, let me go here. Halal definition, right? It's they will have to pray to Allah over the food. How many of you guys knew that? All right. So halal is donating or relating to meat prepared and prescribed by Muslim law. When you go into that Muslim law, they will have to pull it up to Allah. They will have to bless it up to Allah and slaughter it in a certain way for Allah. And then they will sell it in the markets. So when you take part in halal food, you're eating food offered to Allah. Literally. That's literally what you're doing. So now, when you read 1 Corinthians chapter 10, what do we do when most of the stuff is sacrificed to idols in America? Well, we can't eat. What are we going to do? Starve? Right? Everything from all type of signs. We could go into food restaurants, all of that. We could go into all of that. All right. You see that? We can go into all of that. From donut shops to restaurants to start coffee shops, idols everywhere. All right. Idols everywhere. All right. There's at the Citadel. I know brothers in Cali. Y'all know about the Citadel, right? They spell citadel. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah. Let's look up the citadel. Let me see if I could get the images off the citadel. The citadel is like a famous shopping outlet, but when you go to the citadel, you literally see paintings of pagan gods and Assyrian worship. So let me show you this. Look at this. It's everywhere. See that? So look at this. This is the citadel. Look at that. So if you go shop at this outlet, you buy any food at this outlet, you wicked. If you go to this outlet and this is one part of the citadel. They got Babylonian and Assyrian reliefs of gods all over the citadel. You go in there, you sinning. You can't go in there. But this is everywhere. If we start to scrutinize that, we're gonna cut down in what we can do to survive in America. So the point what Paul is saying is, the point of what Paul is saying is that, you know, we know that the idol was nothing for our conscience sake, so that we could be able to survive. Now, if I don't have to eat from anywhere, I'm not gonna do it. You know, I'm not gonna go to Christmas or nothing like that. That's the point that Paul's saying. But for the sake of us being in this Gentile nation, we gotta survive. So this is what was happening in 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and 1 Corinthians chapter 8. In the cities of Corinth and in the provinces of Rome, you had idol temples set up. And what they would do when they would set up these marketplaces, and they will bless the food, sort of like halal foods. They will bless the food for their deities, sacrifice the animal for their deities, and then sell the food in the markets. Well, what are you going to do if you from Corinth? If I'm a Gentile and I'm from Corinth and I just woke up, what am I eat? I got to survive. So that's why Paul is saying an idol is nothing. You see that? An idol was nothing. See? Even brothers and sisters saying, I try to cook my own food at home, but even the food that you getting, if you're not going to halal and you buying chicken at the market, because at least halal, we know it's going to be clean. You don't know how your animal died. You don't know how your chicken died. You know, the scriptures say, what does the law say? That's why you got to be careful. What does the law say? I'm about to mess y'all up right now. I'm about to mess y'all up. This is why you can't be over righteous much. Right? Watch this.
Way they be chopping up your meat, and they changing them knives. And they ground down the beef, and they ground down the ground turkey and all that type of stuff. They use them grinders.
Right.
Y'all think they separated them?
Right. Go to Deuteronomy. You absolutely right. Go to Deuteronomy 14 and 21. Watch this. I'm about to mess y'all up right now. Deuteronomy chapter 14 verse 21.
The book of Deuteronomy chapter 14 verse 21. Ye shall not eat of anything that dieth of itself.
So how you know your chicken didn't die of itself on a farm? How you know your cow? We already see these videos. Oh yeah, I'm about to scare y'all right now. Hold on. Let's go ahead and do it. All the super brews. Oh shit, did I spell it right? These thing. See. Let's see. Dang, I don't know. They be taking them down. Yeah. They huh? Yeah, the chicken, man. I had to put the chicken. They even got lab grown meat. And I don't know if I'm gonna be. Y'all probably gotta go and go to the documentary. Let me see. Yeah. Look at this. Let's go there. Watch this. I'm gonna share my screen.
Angel Soft toilet paper is strong and
Watch this.
Well, scientists in Scotland have created genetically modified chickens.
The birds are laying eggs containing cancer-killing drugs. Scientists at the University of Edinburgh say that the chickens produce human proteins in their eggs that boost the immune system and can treat arthritis and some cancer.
Now, what the hell am I gonna eat a chicken that is selling eggs that with cancer-killing drugs in it, and they making it seem like it's good and healthy for you to eat? Do you know anything that kills cancer is bad for you? Like chemo and all of that. What the hell are they talking about? Think about that. What the hell are they talking about? The chickens have give you immunity boost to fight cancer. How do y'all don't even have a cure for cancer? So how the hell is a chicken got anything to fight cancer? That means y'all doing something. Genetically modified chicken. You putting chemicals, you cloning meat, all of that. Scripture says you're not supposed to eat anything that dies of itself that is sickly. There's so many videos and things about sickly, dying animals and cows. It's not even funny. But we eat it.
Cancers. In addition, scientists say that they found a method that makes the process a lot faster and more efficient.
If you want to have more eggs, you just need more birds. And that's why we have in this pen here, we have a cockerel, and he can produce an awful lot of children in a short time.
Researchers in Scotland say it will take 10 to 20 years to go through the regulatory process to make these types of medicines available for patients. That's if all of the research pans out.
What the hell are they doing to this food? What are they doing to this food? You know, they probably took all of the videos down though. All of the, what was it called? What the hell? Is that what it was called? Yeah, y'all need to eat that. Look at that documentary. I think they must have took it off, but yeah. Let me see. This one. Let me see. Let's go to the part. Don't they have a part where they were talking about the animals?
Just got easier. So, what's your
Look at some of this.
I think I'm dead. Carbs cannot make you fat in and of themselves. We have storage in our muscles and in our liver for carbs called glycogen. So when we eat carbs, we either store it or we burn it. Now, eat fat, that goes straight to your fat. Your body can't turn those carbs into fat unless you're really overdoing the calories. Obesity, it's a death sentence. You're at much higher risk of getting cancer. You're almost certainly going to get diabetes. I mean, no one wants to fat shame, and we all want everybody to be comfortable with our bodies, but this movement to be comfortable with our bodies has made us comfortable with being
So he's
sick.
talking. I want to get to the point of the food. I think it's
go
going
into
to
the
come in right
hospital,
here.
I look around me, people on dialysis, all these sick people, and just about every disease in there is because of what people are eating.
Here's the thing. If I eat a sugary cookie.
You heard what he said? Every disease. Oh yeah, let me go. Yep. I might have to do a disclosure. Let me go out. But y'all get the point. Y'all get the point. I don't want them to block us, family. But y'all get the point. All right. Watch What the Health. We're not gonna watch it now. I just want y'all to see that documentary and you can see all the food. So read that again in Deuteronomy real quick. I don't want them to block us.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 14, verse 21. You shall not eat of anything that dieth of itself.
Read.
Thou shalt give it unto the stranger that is in thy gates.
You see that? So by law, Israelites are not supposed to eat anything dying to ourselves. So even if you say, I'm a cook at home, how you know your food didn't die of itself? How you know what they put in your food? How do you know? This is why we need the wisdom of Paul. The wisdom of Paul can help us, right? Let's go back to that in 1 Corinthians chapter 10. He said, not the chicken. Go ahead and read that.
1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 25. Whatsoever is sold in the shambles, that eat, asking no question for conscience sake.
So Paul is saying, look, you gotta eat, you gotta survive. Don't why kill yourself thinking about everything? You can't, it's no way, right? It's no way. Because even is what Paul's saying according to prophecy? Absolutely. Yep, get that. Yep. Got it? Yep.
Book of Ezekiel chapter 4, verse 13. And the Lord said, even thus shall the children of Israel eat their defiled bread among the Gentiles.
So did not the prophecy say that we'll eat our defiled bread among the Gentiles, whether it be offered to idols or whether it be defiled by some other means? Absolutely. So what Paul was saying was not contrary to the scriptures in any way. Paul was just giving us understanding of, look, y'all gonna need Christ for sure in those times. He was writing for the scattered and us in the 21st century so we can know how to live. So now let's use the wisdom of Paul. Let's go back to 1 Corinthians chapter 10.
1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 25. Whatsoever is sold in the shambles, that eat, asking no question for conscience sake. For the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof.
So what Paul is saying is, look, the earth still belongs to God. Even if that chicken is tampered with, can't the Most High purify it? Most High can do whatever he wants. The earth still belongs to God. So eat those things. Pray over it to the Most High. Read.
God, if any of them that believe not bear you to a feast, and ye be disposed to go, whatsoever is set before you, eat, asking no question for conscience sake. But if any man say unto you, this is offered and sacrificed unto idols, eat not for his sake that showed it, and for conscience sake, for the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Conscience, I say, not thy own, but of the other. For why is my liberty judge of another man's conscience? For if I by grace be a partaker, why am I evil spoken of for that for which I give thanks?
See that? So what Paul is saying is, look, we know idols are nothing. Eat without your conscience being concerned. But if you are eating and you are conscious of the idol and somebody is around you that's conscious of the idol, then don't eat. Don't eat. You know, keep yourself from making your brother to stumble. And that was the whole thing. All right. That was the whole thing of what Paul was getting at. Get 2 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 4. Read that. You got it.
2 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 4, praying us with much entreaty that we will receive the gift and take upon us the fellowship of the ministering to the saints.
See, that's why we got to pray. You know, we got to pray. We got to send up those prayers to the Most High and make sure that we're able to be pure in this lifestyle. But Paul never taught anybody to worship idols or anything of that nature. All right. Paul never taught that. What he was given understanding was, look, everything is defiled, especially in America. There's nothing you can do about that. Eat without your conscience being boggled down. But he gave you some discrepancies. He said, but if you know somebody eating for an idol, don't eat. If it's made known to you, yeah, this is my idol God plate, don't eat it. But if you're going about your day, don't be of your own mind and conscience sake. Only refrain yourself from eating it if it's going to make your brother to fall deeper into idol worship. You understand? So if Lob don't want to go to that donut shop because, hey, I used to, every time I went to a donut shop, I would bow down and eat that donut to Buddha. Well, we ain't going then. We ain't going. You know what I mean? We ain't going. For you, my brother, we're going to abstain from eating this. You understand? Khan, does everybody understand? Khan, all praises. All right, man, that's all we got for tonight. I hope everybody is doing well on this beautiful Sabbath. We love y'all. We love y'all. We hope that you guys got some great edification. We're going to be back here for class tomorrow. So please tune in with us tomorrow. Please like and share and subscribe. And we love you guys. All praises. Please, if you want to email us, believersoftheway144k@gmail.com. You know, email us if you want to get in contact with us for school and classes. And definitely tune in for us tomorrow as we go live tomorrow to bring some more edification. All right. Love you guys. I got to get some rest, man. I'm feeling under the weather. I love you guys. Most High in Christ bless. Shalom. And until next time, Most High willing. Shalom, family. Love y'all.